Okay. All right, here we go. This is going to be a big one today. This is going to be about domestic violence and what it does to girls. Now, here's the deal. The first thing I want to say is this, because this pisses me off. I can't be the only one who's thought of this. There's no way. When people talk about domestic violence, they talk about the wife or the girlfriend getting beat up by the husband or the boyfriend. And here lately, somehow that's turned around. I don't know what that's about, but anyway, I can't get into that because I don't understand it. But people almost always talk about between lovers or partners, and what I don't like is that if the woman is getting hit, if a grown woman is getting hit, she can get in her car and leave. As an adult, as an adult, she can leave the situation if she wants to. She can make the choice to get away. She can go to the police. She can go to a friend's house. She can go to a relative's house. She can go to a women's center. She can go to a women's shelter. She can go to the hospital. She can get herself there either by calling a friend to give her a ride, or getting in her car and driving herself down there, or calling the police and getting them to take her somewhere. The adult has the option of doing that, and has the freedom and the ability to do that. So when people say, "Oh, she's so stupid. She can leave him whenever she wants. I don't know why she's still staying with him." I don't know either, because she can get up and leave anytime. You're right. She's grown. A grown woman can wait until he goes to work and then just leave the house and never go back. Just pack her shit and disappear. And go to the next town and change her name and everything else. And never be heard from again. An adult has the power to do things and take initiative and make decisions and actually make a change. A 5-year-old girl does not. This is where it's going to get ugly. Because I'm about to tell you some things no one fucking ever mentions. The little girl that gets her ass beat relentlessly in domestic violence does not have the option or the power to say, "You know what, damn it, I've had enough of this. I'm leaving." Where? The child can't do that. The child cannot do that. They're stuck with you. No matter how shitty or great you are, the kid is stuck with you. Unless the state takes them away. And that's only if they find out and there's enough evidence, blah, blah, blah. We're going to get to that. Because I got a lot to say on this topic, so I don't know how long this video is going to be. But I got some shit to say. So, the little girl that gets her ass beat to hell and back in domestic violence, fathers don't realize that when they just lay into little girls like that, they put all their chest weight into it. When they do that, they don't realize what they're creating. They're creating somebody who, number one, is going to accept that, sadly, as normal. Children, no one listens to this. No one pays attention to this shit. I'm sick of it. I think parents, anybody who is old enough to screw, ought to be made to take some kind of damn class on child psychology so they can know what they're going to do to their children when they're older and they don't, and they say the wrong things and shit like that. Because people do the wrong things and say the wrong things to their kids all the time, not knowing the damage they're doing. And I think people should just about be made to take some kind of child psychology class. Because if you're going to be pushing them out or squirting them out, you ought to know, you ought to be taught some things about the mistakes you're going to make, because no one knows anything. Anybody's allowed to just like do it, and then they have a baby and it's just, a fucking, it's like a game. But the child, the reason I say that is because the child accepts whatever their home life is as reality, and they accept it as normal. With a child, you are dealing with a fresh brain. You're dealing with a fresh mind, a clean slate, something that has no programming, no preconceived notions, no preconceived nothing. Well, let me tell you, the child, whatever they see at home, good or bad, they're going to accept that as just the way things are. They're going to accept it because they don't know anything else. All they know is what you show them. That's all they know. So you have to be real damn careful when you do things with them or to them, because they remember that shit forever, number one. And two, you're showing them what normal is, and more to the point, you're showing them what to accept. You're showing them what to accept from life and from people. You're teaching them what's acceptable. I don't care what it is. You make spaghetti every night because you don't like any other kind of food, they're going to accept spaghetti. You hit them every day when they come in from school, they're going to accept that as reality, as a sad reality. So you just have to be real careful what you do with them, because they take it. They take it. So when you are beating the shit out of a little girl, you're teaching her, as miserable as she is and as horrifying as that is for her, you're teaching her that that is acceptable, and that's how life is, and that's just how the world is, and that's just how it goes, and that's just, she's going to accept that as reality. Well, it is her reality, but I mean, she's going to take that as, this is the world. You are their world. You are their world. So when you do dumb shit, they're just going to say, oh, okay, well, this is it. So you have to be careful with that. People don't think of that. And that's, tragic. Because when the kid grows up, and here's my favorite part, when the child grows up, they have certain ideas and certain opinions and certain viewpoints that all developed from what happened between the two of y'all, from the get-go. And there are a lot of parents who have the audacity and the temerity and the nerve to be shocked and or pissed off, and even worse, confused as to why the kid screws up, makes certain shitty choices, makes certain mistakes, whatever. And all I can think is, if you would just look at what happened between you and your kid and the things that you were responsible for and why they're so screwed up now, how does that not occur to you that that's your fault? So with girls and the domestic violence, that, like I say, teaches them to accept not just violence itself, that's in there obviously, but not just that, but any type of bullshit behavior, and of course, typically, reality is reality. It's usually men beating on everybody, so that's who's violent. I can't do anything about it. It's just that's who's 99% of the time if somebody's beating the shit out of somebody else, it's a man doing the beating. So it's safe to assume that her father is the one tearing her up. And that being the case, she's going to accept his behavior as what they do. Because I did. Story time. I got a few, but I don't know how long this video is going to be, so just hang in there. When I was, 12. I couldn't have been any older than 12. Maybe 11, whatever. I got off the bus one day at my friend's house. This was like a one-time thing. Went to her house, and it was after school. So we were sitting at her kitchen table. I've told this story before, so you may have already heard this. I don't know. But I'm just like, this is such a good-ass example. I just have to tell it. Because it's such a perfect example. So went to her house. We're at her kitchen table just kind of fucking around with, drinking chocolate milk or some shit. I don't know. And her mom was in the kitchen, and she was all friendly and happy and like doing the dishes and shit or whatever. It was getting to be like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever. And her dad came in the door. And he came in the kitchen, and I was exposed to him. Like, I saw him. I saw his demeanor and his behavior and how he carried himself and his attitude and his everything, right? In just like a small window of time, like a minute or two, I saw this guy's attitude. And he was happy, which confused the shit out of me to start with. He was happy, period. That's bizarre. That was bizarre to 11-year-old me. But he was very happy-go-lucky, playful, like bullshitting, and it's just, and that really, and he might have been in the kitchen like a minute or two. He was just in there getting a drink or a snack or some shit, and then he left. It was like a small ass window of time where I was exposed to this, kind of behavior. But it was bizarre to be that physically close to a man that acted that way, because we were in this tiny kitchen together and we were all in there. And it confused the hell out of me because I was not accustomed to that. And I remember, I can feel it now. I can feel the confusion in my fibers now. I'm 35, so this was 25 years ago. And I can still feel how confused I was in that moment about this guy's attitude. And how happy he was. It just shocked me. And he left the kitchen. And no sooner was he out of sight that I leaned across the table to her and I said, "Is he always like that?" And she didn't understand because she was used to that. And she said, "What do you mean?" And I said, I just didn't even know what to say, because I thought, is that normal? Jesus Christ. Because to me, that wasn't normal. I wasn't, that was not normal. And, so, and I remember that forever. Like I said, that was 25 years ago. I remember that like it was last week. I mean, because it feels like it was. Because like the shock of being that surprised by that guy's demeanor. So, but that was normal for her, and she didn't think anything of it. She's like, "Oh yeah, this is my home, blah, 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 and all's well with the world." And I was like, seeing a dog with 3 heads, and I just thought, what the hell, but I never forgot it, obviously. I never forgot it. And, it confused the shit out of me. And that was the moment that it struck me like a wrecking ball. It hit me. That there was another reality. That there was another reality where men were not hostile. Or that there were men that aren't hostile. That they're out there somewhere. And that they don't all come home angry and cussing and just looking for who they can strangle, There are men who come home and they don't do that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I just thought that they were just all pissed off and that was just part of life. And that was just too bad. And it was something I was just going to have to deal with. There was no, maybe there's something better out there. Children don't do that. They don't wonder. A 6-year-old isn't going to wonder if there's a better life somewhere. They're not going to do that. They're going to take what you do and they're going to gauge They're going to mold their world around that. So if you come home swinging every day, they're going to think everyone in the world is angry, and they're going to be shocked as hell when they find out, when they meet somebody in their life that's not angry. It's going to shock the shit out of them, because they're not used to that. They weren't prepared for that, because they were so used to you coming home yelling. You know what I mean? No one thinks of this. Why does no one think of this? So that was just like a little, that really rocked my foundation. That guy, her dad, that really, that was like somebody, that was like if I was on, one of those stupid bridges. You see all those, those rickety ass rope bridges that go from like cliffside to cliffside or whatever, with the mist and everything, and you look down and it's just an abyss or whatever, you're like on one of those and somebody just starts swinging it like this, that's how it felt. And I just thought, what the hell? Because I just hadn't ever seen anything like that. And that was just bizarre. And my dad had friends, colleagues, and he didn't have any friends, but he had coworkers and other people that I would be around at dinner parties and stuff like that, and officers club stuff and whatever else and that kind of thing. But that I didn't pay attention to the adults that much. My concern was more about, how I presented myself and my behavior and stuff like that. That was deemed more important than looking at other people. I had to worry about myself because I'd already been taught that too. So I don't remember much about the adults, but I just remember seeing every now and then when I'd see somebody who was like, if I'd see a man who was like particularly calm or happy or contented, with life, I thought that was bizarre. Because like I say, that was not part of my reality. But the first time that it really hit me, and I really and truly noticed it, and I really and truly took it in, was that afternoon at my friend's house. When her dad came in from work, and I just thought, what the fuck? What is this? So, that was the fucking Twilight Zone. Her kitchen. I didn't spend much time at her house. I was only at her house, like, I think twice in all the years I knew her. But, I didn't go to other people's houses a lot or like see other people's parents a lot or anything like that. But on the rare occasion that I did, they were always totally different from my parents. And the fathers especially were totally different. They weren't pissed off. And it was weird, and I didn't trust it. I'd be like 9 years old and be at some friend's house, on a rare occasion, and see her dad like walking through and not cussing and not looking for a fight, and just like being normal. And I would think, what's about to happen? Is something about to happen? Is this the calm before the storm? Or what does this mean? Is he always like that? So it's just awkward. These days it's not, but I mean, in 1991, I thought it was awkward. So, but anyway, so what happens is the child, is taught, what's normal. Well, I'm beating the shit out of you, and this is just how it is, so they take that and they mold their life around that, and they mold their viewpoint of the world around getting the hell knocked out of them, because that's reality and that's how the world works. So what happens is they take that and the girls especially, of course, they self-destruct. So they internalize everything, and they internalize that shit, and they carry it with them wherever they go. This is why women cry so much, is because their fibers, their physical fibers, are holding so much shit, because they can't because we're not physically able to get violent and just beat the hell out of somebody and feel better. We can't do that. Because it'd be frowned upon. And also we physically can't. Because there's always going to be somebody bigger than us who can just put his hands around our throat and end it in 2 minutes. So us getting violent and like beating somebody to hell and back and getting all that worked out, that's not going to happen. It doesn't happen. So we can't do that. And the motivation to exercise is hard. And, other ways of like getting that out of your fibers and working that out is not easy for us. That's not easy for us. And we're not taught to do those things. That's shit you have to figure out on your own, just like everything else. So we carry all that, and that's why our nervous system is like constantly, trying to just release little trickles out of the dam here and there, just, whatever it can get. And that's why you see so much crying and, acting crazy and shit like that, is because our fibers can't take any more of holding on to the bullshit. So, except for the few women, I guess, who do boxing and shit like that, maybe they're happier because they can work that stuff out. But for most of us, that's just not how it is. It's just not. So, she carries all that with her, and then as she gets older and gets grown and starts dating and God knows what else, and she starts bringing home loser ass boyfriends, loser ass dudes who are just, bottom of the barrel, whatever. You know what I mean? We've all made the mistake. Because all of us, girls' self-esteem takes a fucking nosedive right around the time they hit 12 years old. It takes a nosedive. It's like a worldwide thing. Psychologists can't figure it out. I can break that down in 30 fucking seconds, but I gotta save that for another time. But boys don't get that. They don't have that, where they plummet and hate themselves and shit like that. They just don't. That doesn't even occur to them. So girls, the ones that grew up in violent households are already screwed up to start with, and then by the time they hit puberty, they're already, talking about killing themselves and shit like that. Because I sure as fuck did. First time I went in the loony bin for mentioning it, I was like 13. So, and before that, I was doing crazy shit. And I was already screwed up. I was good and screwed up by 13, but anyway. So, as she gets older and starts hanging around boys, she's going to pick her father whether she wants to or not. She's going to pick him in ways you wouldn't even imagine, because the shit that's between her and him that never gets resolved because he can do no wrong. So he's not going to ever sit down and apologize. The shit that goes on between the two of them that never gets rectified, she's going to carry with her forever, unless she can figure out some way to release all that. And that takes soul searching, which takes courage, which takes hitting rock bottom. And most people don't even know when they've hit rock bottom. So there's a mountain of psychology behind it. But for the most part, she's going to carry it with her forever. In her physical fibers. So when she brings home the shitty boyfriends, the real bottom feeders, and they don't necessarily have to be violent per se. Some of them may be. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that. It can be anything else. It can be aggressive. It can be emotionally distant. It can be controlling. I had the controlling ones. Oh my God. So, because that's what I was used to. That's what I was used to. God damn it, you're going to do this if it's the last thing you do. Okay. And then... And when you're 15 and you've accepted that as reality because that's all you know and that's what you've been taught, that's gonna trickle into everything else. So that's what they do. And they bring home, shitty boyfriends that don't amount to anything, and everybody has the nerve to be confused as to why she's bringing home shitty ass boyfriends. Well, hell, maybe it's because there's a pattern, but most parents won't. They don't. They're too damn proud to want to look at that, so they'll say, "Oh, well, you need to start making better decisions. You need to blah blah blah. You need to you. God damn it, you. And they'll just be like tearing apart. They'll just be standing there like yelling at their 16-year-old daughter like she knows what she's doing, and no one thinks about that. No one ever thinks about that. So when shit like that happens, she hasn't learned any lessons except to not speak up. But besides that, she hasn't learned a whole lot of lessons. Just what she can't do, or what she's got to do to survive, or what she's got to do to cover her ass, or what she's got to do to taste a little bit of freedom, or what have you. The communication and the understanding between parent and child is just utterly lost. So it just gets worse and worse. And then when they're older, they can be 30, 35, 40 years old and still screwing up with men, because no one's figured it out. No one wanted to go back and look at the source. Oh, well, let's look at what happened when you were 3. Let's look at what happened when you were 10. No one talks about that. I don't understand why. Because people carry their childhood with them forever. They carry it forever. Why wouldn't you? There's parts of your childhood that are with you now that are helping you make decisions now. Why wouldn't it? So, and people don't want to admit to that because they want to sit there and say, "Oh no, childhood's over. I'm over all that. Blah blah. I'm past all that. I figured all that out." No, you haven't even figured out shit. You haven't figured out shit. You don't know shit about yourself. So shut up. Go read some books about it. People, and once the child grows up and has all those issues that they don't want to address because they either assume nothing's wrong with them and it's everybody else, or they're too afraid to admit something's wrong. They're too afraid to look at themselves and think, there might be something wrong. There might be something I haven't dealt with. There might be something that needs to be addressed that's, severely wrong. There might be an issue. There might be a loose screw. People are so afraid of that. They're so damn terrified of something being wrong, or, everything not being perfectly right. No one has everything together. No one has it all figured out and has their shit together completely. There's some people that look that way, but you're looking at their material goods and their habits and their image and shit like that. Nobody has it all together. Get the fuck out of here. Everybody's got something from 30 years ago that they, 50 years ago, whatever, that they just never resolved. And just because they don't cry about it every day doesn't mean it's not still there. It could also mean they're just ignoring it, because I've seen a lot of that shit where people just ignore shit that's wrong with them. Oh, well, no, that's not really... No, I figured it all out. That's probably my favorite group. Oh, I've already got it all figured out. Are you sure? What's that even mean? But that's not practical. Sorry. So, the girl, when she picks the narcissistic boyfriend, she's picking somebody. If she's coming from a violent household where the man, the father, or whichever man was in charge, tore her ass up, on a regular basis, she may pick someone violent. She may not. She may pick someone controlling. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be physical violence. It could be a lot of things, because the violence, that's communicating a lot. When you do something wrong, you're going to feel physical pain. when you do something somebody else doesn't like, they're allowed to hit you. When you do something somebody else doesn't like, they're allowed to control you through fear and hurting your body. You know, that violence isn't just I'm hitting you. It says a lot more than that. When you look at it from the person's point of view who's doing the violence. You know, the person who's doing the beat down. Well, how fucking dare you, God damn it, you little piece of shit, I'll do what I fucking want, you know. And you just look back and remember all the things they said while they were hitting you, and that'll tell you everything you need to know. That'll tell you, that communicates all kinds of shit. You know, violence is never just hitting somebody. That tells the child all kinds of things. It's okay to hit them. It's acceptable for them to get hit. It's acceptable for them to have physical injury from, you know, making a mistake or missing the mark, or, you know, express themselves. And some kids don't even have bad behavior. They just, you know, they get upset about something, or break a rule or make a mistake or whatever, and the parent will just like unleash. So then that teaches the kid that if they make a mistake or misstep somewhere, that they are gonna get the hell knocked out of them, and that physical pain and injury and bruises and whatever else is going to be the result of any kind of mistake or misjudgment or anything like that, where they might fuck up. So, but it's controlling and stifling, and it teaches the child, especially for girls. I can speak. It teaches them to shut up and not speak up and not say anything, because women really don't. You'll see it online, you know, because online is like a fucking free-for-all, you know, but in real life, face-to-face, women do not speak up when something's wrong. They just don't. It'd be a battle of the wills until one of you dies, but nobody's going to speak up. You know what I mean? It'd just be like passive-aggressive shit, and people get pissed off about that, you know. This bitch, she's so fucking passive-aggressive, I fucking hate that bitch. That's because she's been taught not to open her fucking mouth, because if she does, there's a consequence. So there's a lot of that. Women won't speak up when they're owed money. You know, they don't speak up when somebody hurts them, or emotionally or physically, or they won't speak up when somebody does them wrong, or disrespects them, or crosses a boundary, or pushes them to do something they don't want to do. They don't say anything. You know, it's just like they just take it like a fucking, you know, like a bitch. And it's a horseshit way to live, but that's how they do, which is why they're so damn miserable, which is why they act so crazy. And I can't believe that people haven't figured that out yet. But like I say, with the little girl getting hit like that, she has to learn how to shut her mouth, because anytime she opens her mouth and says the wrong thing, then whichever man is in charge of her is gonna knock her to hell and back. So to keep from that, she's got to shut her mouth. And now everything's a fucking secret. Now you got a 16-year-old daughter that you don't know that you know fuck all about, who doesn't talk to you, doesn't want to tell you anything about where she goes or whatever. I guess boys do it too, but theirs is about autonomy and being their own person, shit like that. Girls just do it because they're fucking terrified of consequences. The clamming up. So you've got, you know, teenage daughters that their parents just say, I don't know, I don't understand, I don't know when I'm. What are you smoking? You terrorized her when she was 5, and now she's afraid to talk to you. Nothing's changed, because your ass hasn't, because you can do no wrong. So you're not going to admit to doing anything wrong, therefore you're not going to rectify anything, so you're not going to change, because you're perfect. If you ever need me to talk to your parents, just give me their number, okay? Because I'll fucking talk to them. I'm a jerk. I'm a fucking jerk. But anyway, so, but that's the truth, isn't it? I mean, what else is it? What else is it? And parents, Jesus, they'll think, well, or they'll at least say, well, I didn't do anything to you. Damn it. I didn't do anything to you. I don't know what your problem is, but I didn't do anything to you. Well, because they act like they make no mistakes. And then when you say something, that's when they start acting crazy and getting real defensive. And they pop up like a prairie dog, when you try to sit down on the sofa with them and talk to them about something. I've had that. But that behavior, by the way, comes from knowing they've done wrong and not wanting to be fucking confronted about it. Number one. So if you ever try to sit down with your parents and say, look, I just got to clear this up because, I'm 30 and this still bothers me. And they say, oh, no, we're not going to have this goddamn conversation. We're not going to have this fucking conversation. They are, that person who's snuffing out the conversation before it even starts is so terrified of being pointed out and called out for their bullshit that they did to you in the 80s, where they screwed up because they didn't know what they were doing and or being selfish. They can't stand for anybody to fucking point it out, least of all the person to whom it was done, you. And they can't stand that shit. Because that means they made a mistake. They made a mistake. People are going to hate me. Oh my God, people are going to hate me. If they don't already now, I guess some do. But that's why they act that way. Well, I'm not going to listen to this. Well, then, you know what? Fuck you. Just fuck you. So sometimes you're not going to get it resolved, period. Sometimes. So, and sadly, you do have to accept that. If you want any peace, you just got to make your peace with it. You have to mourn. You have to mourn that the relationship that never was. The bond with your parent that was never there. You have to let yourself mourn that and accept the fact that it was never there before you can have any peace of any kind, however you want to define that, between you and that parent. It doesn't have to just be about domestic violence. It could be about anything. But what I'm saying is, when you try to sit down with them 30 years after the fact and they jump up like a jack in the box and go, I didn't do a fucking thing, I'm out of here. When you see the shutdown and they snuff it out with the little Victorian candle snuffer, when they do that, you really and truly, that forces you to have one option, which is to cut your losses and just be like, you know what? You're just a dumbass. I'm just going to have to accept it. And that's the reality. Because your parent's going to be too damn proud, unless you're lucky and they're not, when you sit down and have a conversation with them and they actually are humble enough to just fucking let you talk. But a lot of parents out there are too good for that shit. They don't want to hear it. And that being the case, for probably most of us, you have to let yourself mourn the death or the never having existedness of that bond. It was never there. And you have to just take it. And just be like, you know what? This is what it is. It is what it is. Because that's it. That is it. And you just have to take it. And that's the only way you're going to be able to make your peace with it, because it's not going to change. And people get angry and they get upset about things that can't be changed. And you can't waste your life force on that. If you've come this far and you're here with these videos with me and we're sitting here talking about this shit and you've come this far in trying to fix yourself, let me tell you, acceptance is a beautiful thing. It's difficult. It's a difficult step because it's so shitty. But acceptance will free you. It will liberate you. And because that's what it's there for. You know, it's there to liberate you, and not because people are upset about shit that they know isn't going to change. That's why they're upset, because they know it's not going to change. It's not going to get any better, and they're, you know, people get wound up about that. But I mean, that's a waste of your energy. If you've come this far in your healing journey or what have you, whatever you want to call it, take it from me. The acceptance of the situation sometimes, you know, that'll like put you ahead 10 paces. Sometimes you just got to do it. So that's just my two cents on that. But yeah, like I say, so the domestic violence towards the little girl pushes her to choose and bring home and settle for shitty ass boyfriends and partners, because she's going after and accepting what she knows. And her vibe when she goes out and attracts these clowns is, I accept such and such type behavior. Your brain sends out signals, wavelengths around you, and people who vibe with that are going to approach you and just like jump into your life, because they live for that shit. Whatever it is you're putting out there, you're going to pull in assholes that vibe with that. And when you put out a vibe that says, I've had such and such treatment, and that's what I'm used to, you're gonna continue to be used to it too, because you're telling the world, you know, by how you carry yourself and the way you interact with people and the things you say and your body language and your expressions and the things you say about yourself and how you talk about yourself, and like, you know, that's you just create more of the same shit. It's like self-fulfilling prophecy or whatever. And until you realize that, you're going to keep bringing home dumbasses. But you haven't realized that that's what you're doing, because no one's thought enough of you to sit down with you and like ask you questions about it. Because parents don't ask questions about that. They'll just get pissed off and like yell at you, but they don't ask you why. They don't bother to investigate. They don't bother to look into it and be like, why are you doing this? What's on your mind? You know, I mean, and they don't ever look at it from the kid's point of view, and then they wonder why they don't understand him. I don't understand him. I don't know. He's a fucking weirdo. Maybe it's just a phase, blah, blah. And they're just kind of like, you know, take a sip of their Coors Light and go back to watching TV and just like hope for the best, you know. And that's shitty. There's people that do that, you know. They just don't investigate their own children. How? How do you not care? How do you not care enough to ask questions? And then some parents like don't even know how, because their parents didn't know how, and their parents didn't know how, and their parents didn't know. So it's like you get, you know, a fucking, you know, generational thing where no one knows what they're doing. And then it's all falling on you. And now it's up to you to fix it. But the reason that happened that way, and the reason you're having these revelations and all these new understandings and new fanciful ideas about yourself and discovering yourself and shit like that, which is a lot of work, the reason it's all plopped into your lap is because you're the one who can do it, which is why all this shit's happening to start with. And it hurts. The shit hurts. It's not a game. You know, people want to laugh at people for going to therapy or whatever, or doing something, you know, to try to nurture the final shreds of what they were laughingly referred to as their mental health. You know, like people want to try to take care of themselves so they won't be miserable or crazy, and more miserable or crazier. And they're trying to fix things, and they're trying to rectify things, and they're trying to get help, and they're trying to read books, and they're trying to fucking, you know, all the rest of it. And there are people who have never thought deeply enough about anything who actually laugh at that. Get the fuck out of here. You know, I'd love to see your smug ass in a therapist's office. You'd be crying in 2 minutes. You know, so so many of us have parents like that just can't plug in. You know, they just can't find, you know, or they don't bother, I guess. And that's why I say you have to let yourself mourn that loss of that relationship, that dynamic, that bond that you never got with that adult. You have to let yourself mourn it, because that's about the only way to go forward. Let yourself, cry over it or whatever you got to do, just like you would over somebody who's died. Just pretend they've died and you've got to do their funeral and everything else, and just mentally get it out of the way and just be done with it. Because that person's not going to change, because they can do no wrong. So that forces you, unfortunately, to be the bigger person and be the more mature one, and fix some shit so you don't pass that shit on. And it's hard. But like I say, the reason that shit has rushed up into your face is because you're the one who's meant to rectify it in that line, in that family line. It's on you, but it's on you for a reason. It's because you can. Because if you couldn't, it wouldn't have happened. The universe isn't going to bother with somebody who's not up to it. Maybe a little bit here and there, but not if it's like hardcore shit. It's because you can. You wouldn't be sitting there wasting your time with something you can't do. The reason you're having revelations, it's because right now it matters. So as painful as it is, transformation always hurts. It always hurts. Because you're having to change so much about how you think. And the shit you've been taught about yourself has to just be ripped out by the roots. And you just have to change your whole perspective, and you have to understand yourself, and it forces you to understand more about yourself and more about why you do what you do, and your programming and shit like that. So like I say, let me get back to the narcissistic shit, because that's supposed to be what this is about, essentially. So the teenage daughter brings home the shitty ass boyfriends or marries someone shitty. And she has gone after someone who has some quality greatly in common with her father, or whoever the man running the show was when she was growing up. The father, the stepfather, the uncle, or whoever it was. So she's going to pick him, because that's what she knows. She's going to sniff him out. Or they'll sniff her out and she'll just accept it, because, that's normal. As miserable as she'll be, it'll be what's normal. And the reason they don't go after the nice guys is because that's not what they're used to. It's not what they're used to. And you'll see other girls who were raised by decent men, who don't have a convoluted opinion of what masculine is. They just have like a pretty normal, kind of healthy idea of it, and they'll turn around and get normal, kind of healthy masculine men for the rest of their life, and have no concept of being beaten or being deceived or whatever, because they go for what they're used to. Everyone goes for what they're used to. We're creatures of habit. We're creatures of being programmed for something and sticking with it. That's why people don't like changing routines and shit. Well, I'm used to this. Well, that's just how I grew up. Well, when people say that, oh, well, that's how I grew up. So, but that doesn't matter when you're 35 and you're still fucking up. It doesn't matter. And, you have to really you have to listen to the things you tell yourself. Well, that's just how it is. Well, why? Why is that just how it is? Why? Who taught you that? And why does it have to be that way? Do you want something better? Do you want something different? There's a lot of investigating that people don't do with themselves, because they assume they know themselves, and they don't. You don't know shit about yourself. None of us do. Well, some of us do, but I mean, not near what you could, or not near what you could know. And the shit I've learned about myself, especially like in the past couple of years, I've had some revelations and some things I've had to make my peace with, and shit hurt every step of the way. But it was that, or stay in the same bullshit cycle, and I was like, fuck this cycle. So when she picks the narcissist who controls her tells her she can't do this, can't do that, uses her words against her, gets her wound up, and then says, oh, well, you're overreacting. She was used to that upbringing. She was dealt that 30 years ago when she was little. And had those stupid ponytail things that I never could figure out how to work, that had the ball on each end. That's how long she's been accustomed to that lifestyle, since she's been wearing those. I hated those things because I couldn't figure them out. Never could. But anyway, so you get what I'm saying. But a long time. So when she gets used to that, she's going to bring that home forever until the time comes that she decides she's had enough of it. Because people don't realize that. They hit rock bottom so many times. This is why when you watch shows like Intervention, for example, and you see somebody who is just like living a shitty life, because they've given themselves the drugs or whatever, or what they're doing is, I guess, trying to get away from their pain, and they just chose that. But that being the case, everyone else thinks that person has hit rock bottom, and it's time for them to, make the change. But that person that's on drugs says, no, I don't need any help. I'm out of here. Blah, blah, blah. Obviously not all of them, but the ones who do say that, well, I don't know. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. I'll do it. And they just like give them shit, and they don't cooperate with the intervention, right? And they don't want to go to the rehab center. That person has not yet had enough of the misery. They haven't had enough. They're not done with it. They haven't hit rock bottom yet. They haven't hit that point where they say, you know what? I can't do this anymore. They just haven't gotten there yet. Every person has to reach a point where they just like hit the ocean floor and say, you know what? This is as far as I can go. It's time to turn around. And that's it. From my point of view. Somebody else might give you a different analogy or whatever, and if that works for you better, that's fine. Then do that. But I'm just, from me, well, I was never on drugs, but I mean, the hit and rock bottom feeling, where you get to a point where you just can't take any more, and you say, you know what? Enough's enough. And that's anytime you put your foot down with something, not just, like addiction or severe depression or something like that. Anytime you've had enough of something, you'll know when you do it, because there's other times. Because think back in your life, other times you've done shit like that, where you were miserable with something, and then finally you said, you know what, I can't do this anymore, and you got out. It was a job that you quit that you couldn't stand. It was somebody you broke up with you couldn't stand. It was a neighborhood you didn't like, and then finally you're like, I'm just gonna save my money and get the fuck out of here, or whatever. A friend that a so-called friend who wasn't really a friend to you, that you got tired of wasting your time with, and you finally cut them off for good. I'm sick of you. I've had enough. Had enough. The girl who grew up in domestic violence is going to bring home the shitty-ass boyfriends until she's had enough of them. Period. And that's it, in my humble opinion. At least that's how it was for me. Obviously, I can't speak for everyone on the planet, but I mean, I'm just saying, the best examples I can give you is shit I've done. But I mean, I've had that I can't take anymore. I'm going to make the change. That feeling, I've done that a million times with a million different things. Jobs, boyfriends, friends, whatever kind of situation. I've done it with all kinds of shit, and will continue to do so, because your life needs the cleanse sometimes. It needs the cleanse, whatever that may be, and it's necessary, because you have to get the shit out and get that void so you can put something better in it. You can put whatever you want in there. You put whatever you want in that void. But the fact that you've reached the point where you say, okay, I'm done, that's huge, because you have reached your limit. You know your limits with something. That hopefully over time will help you learn what your boundaries are. Once you finally hit it, you'll see what your boundaries are, and you'll be like, why wasn't I doing this for myself before? So with any luck, it'll get you thinking about yourself, is what I mean to say. And of course, that includes, the narcissistic partners, and how controlling they are. They're so damn controlling. And one of my favorite things that they like to do is, they try to convince you that your reality is not what it is, or that they try to convince you that something you said or did, you didn't say or do, or the other way around. My favorite, I've certainly had boyfriends who weren't necessarily narcissists who pull this. This is sort of something men kind of do in general a little bit, but I'm not trying to trash them. I'm just saying, this is a little bit common, but it's real bad with the narcissists. Well, you said blah, 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 blah. And you'll be sitting there thinking, what the hell? Did I say that? Did I fucking say that? Did I say that? That doesn't even sound like me. I wouldn't even use those. That's not even how I would have worded that. What the hell? Did I say that? And you'll be sitting there questioning yourself and your own damn mind, over somebody new in your life who fucking doesn't know anything about you, who just has a lot of permissions with you, who is telling you, who you are and what you do and what you don't do. It's one of my favorite things that they do, I swear. Like who the fuck are you? Like, who even are you? So you have to watch out for that. And that can come from picking somebody like that, and being used to that can come from domestic violence too, because if the little girl is getting beat at home, if she gets hit when she says the wrong thing or does the wrong thing, and the violent parent misinterprets it or twists it and says, how fucking dare you say that? How fucking dare you do that? You think you're gonna blah, 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 blah? I don't fucking think so. Bam. And what the parent is saying is different from what the child intended, because the parent's just taking it as an offense when the child is just trying to express something. You see what I mean? And it'll get twisted. So then that gets lodged in the kid's memory that they've done what the parent said and instead of what the child was really intending, which is something totally different, which was just express themselves. But what the parent said got programmed. So they're going to turn around later and pick people who just twist their reality, because that's what happened. That was the programming. There's a million ways it can go. People don't realize what domestic violence does and what it teaches. It teaches so much more than just hitting. And I've sure had some male partners tell me that hitting children is okay, and that it toughens them up and it teaches them to not do that shit again and blah blah. But violence for men, it makes them act right, because that's what it takes, I guess. According to them, that's what it takes, is for them to get the hell beat out of them before they fucking listen to some goddamn body. So if that's how they want to do, fine. But when you're beating the feminine divine, that's not going to teach her to not make that mistake again. It's not going to teach her that. That's not how that works. You don't do that with the divine. It's not going to work. The animalistic shit, save that for the animals. Save that for the people that act like animals. In a bad way. I hate to insult animals with that, but anyway. That if men want to get their point across by getting each other, bruised and bloodied, because that's all they understand, that's the only language they speak, fine. Do that. Do it. If that's your style, fucking do it, bro. Fine. But women getting the hell knocked out of them and little girls getting the hell knocked out of them is not going to teach them But goddamn it, they better never do that again. That's going to teach her, like I said, that she's got to shut her mouth and take it like a bitch, and that she isn't safe. The feminine divine needs a safe space in order for her to function and do her best and to show you how beautiful life can be, because it gets expressed through her and all the beautiful things in life. The feeling you get when you look into her eyes, the way she looks when she's holding a baby, and when she's cooking good food that's going to nourish everybody and keep everybody alive, shit like that. All those beautiful things in life that are necessary, that gets expressed through her. And if she is in a safe, good environment, she can do that to the fullest. So if you knock the hell out of her, that stops her from being able to do her purpose. And if she can't do her purpose, you may as well just go live on another fucking planet. Because once you lose her power and her gift, when the world loses that, just let it burn. Just let it fucking burn. Because without that, you're just looking at, it's just going to look like North Korea. Just forget it. I don't know if you've ever seen like actual pictures or video of North Korea, but it's all gray washed buildings. Nobody's outside. There's no plants. Like I saw a footage of it one time, like from a few years ago. I was like, looks like shit. This looks like some kind of fucking military installation. That's all you'd have without the divine feminine. It's just that shit. It would just be boring and shitty and dull. So when you teach her that she's not safe by knocking the shit out of her when she's 10, you're teaching her, you're showing her that she's not safe, therefore she cannot do what she's meant to do, which is make life beautiful, and to make it the best it can be. So since she can't do that, all that she's got left is to do what you do, which is to be rough and push people around and take control wherever possible, and whatever she's seen you do after hitting her, because she sees that what she does naturally doesn't matter. And instead, the only powerful person between the two of y'all, it would be you, because you're the one in control, doing all the beating and making all the decisions and running the show. So now all she's got left is to just copy you, which is exactly what I did. So that leads to her growing up and not only not being in touch with her feminine power at all, because she's learned that it's not safe enough for that. But also, she just turns into a little man with long hair and, mascara, who's going to be aggressive and defensive and, manipulative and backstabbing and shit like that. And there's a lot of women like that. And we know that. We know that. There's a lot of us out there like that because they're fucked up. And they were taught, sometime in their childhood that it's not safe to be the feminine. And that the more powerful polarity that gets its way is the aggressive, dark side of the masculine. I'm going to fucking kill you. Get out of my way. God damn it. And God help you if you don't fucking do what I say, because I'm in control. I'm going to make you know I'm in control, because I'm going to knock the hell out of you if you do anything that pisses me off, and I'm going to be in control and you're going to see it. And that's how I'm going to show it to you. So when she learns that, it's game over. It's game over, because she's going to hold that near and dear forever until she learns different. And who knows when that'll be. Because the feminine didn't protect her, being feminine and being a girl wasn't safe. So you get girls like that who grow up and they have the shitty boyfriends and the shitty partners. Or I'm not limiting anything. I say boyfriends, but obviously if it turns out she's into chicks and has like butch girlfriends who do the same shit that her father did, obviously that includes that as well. So I gotta throw that in. But you see what I'm saying. But so when she grows up and not only picks the shitty partners, but also has a bit of aggression about her that's seems real, like she's in defense mode a lot, and it's just always up in arms, or primed for a fight. There's a lot of women like that, and that's why they're like that, because they know being girly isn't gonna help them. So you see a lot of aggressive women who grew up in domestic violence who are ready for an argument at any time, and they'll jump on it. And they don't take challenges very well, and they don't, they get pissed off. They get pissed the fuck off when men especially laugh at them or mock them or challenge them, because men laugh at it. They'll laugh at women like that who are aggressive. They laugh at us when we're feminine, but they laugh at us when we act like them too. So it's like we can't really. It's a lose-lose situation. But and they definitely chuckle when we say we're not afraid, and we demonstrate a bit of aggression. That only gets worse, over the short amount of time it takes to get them pissed off. When women demonstrate those angry masculine traits like that they learned at home, and the men around them, boyfriends or colleagues or whoever, just kind of like laugh it off. Oh, isn't that cute? You think you're scary. You don't understand what you're dealing with. I don't think you understand. You're dealing with a woman who most likely got the shit knocked out of her when she was little, one too many times, and she turned into what raised her, because that was the only way to go for protection, was to turn into that, because she saw what was powerful, and she just thought, well, damn it, it's that or I don't survive. So she'll take on those traits and attract men like that, possibly, yeah. But they'll be at each other's throats all the time, I'll tell you what, because they're competing over who's going to be, the man. When really both of them are so damn screwed up, neither of them have any business trying to do what they're doing anyway, dating. But I'll have to say that for another time, because that's a whole other fucking can of worms. We got to deal with that another time. But so she'll take on those traits, and then there are dudes that will chuckle at that, because they of course don't take us seriously, and whether we're angry or not, they don't take us seriously, and they laugh at it, and they're laughing at somebody who is ready to do whatever it takes to ruin their life if they get pissed off enough. And women will do that, and I think men know this, which is why I'm still confused as to why the fuck they push us, because we're willing to go to certain lengths that they would never bother going to ruin somebody. Most of them wouldn't. Most of them are a little bit lazy when it comes to getting revenge or anything like that. Most men don't bother, but they don't realize that when they laugh at angry women, or they laugh at women who are real upset, or they laugh at women who are really stricken with PTSD and things like that they're laughing at a fucking tiger who is gonna claw their heart out of their chest. And I'm not saying that because I think we're these great little bastards that everyone should be afraid of. I'm saying that because you don't realize what you're dealing with. You're dealing with somebody who is carrying an awful lot in their fibers that they have not released yet. She has not released that yet. There are some people who, and by some people I mean me, but there are some people who start exercising, or God love me, on the occasion, like once or twice in my life when I was like, physically training to learn how to learn self-defense and shit like that. There are women who start doing things like that, and then they start crying in the middle of it. They'll start crying in the middle of it, and they can't control it. Well, usually you can't control crying anyway, but you see what I'm saying? Like they'll be exercising or learning how to fight, especially if it's learning how to fight from somebody who's training them. It's not even like a situation. It's just they're learning how to do it from someone who's teaching them, and they'll start crying in the middle of it. And that is their nervous system's desperate ass attempt to regulate the fucking flood of biblical flood of bad feelings that are coming out that are associated with being in a violent situation. Even though she knows that when she's training with somebody, a professional who knows what they're doing, she's not in danger. This person's trying to help her learn something. That's obviously a good thing. Intellectually, we know this. But that's just on the surface. That's just the surface of the water. That's not all the rest of it underneath. All the rest of it underneath is full of, krakens and Portuguese man-o'-wars and sharks and shit like that, and they're all trying to tear each other up because all that shit hasn't been dealt with in those fibers, and it's rushing to the surface. It's just rushing up to the surface because it's working itself out. When she learns how to fight, or is training, especially, exercising too, yeah, but especially the physical training and learning self-defense, that brings up things that she's been holding on for 40 fucking years that has never been addressed. So you see women who get challenged by men or get laughed at. I talked about my aggression yesterday, and a man who does not know me very well laughed at me, and to my face. I was standing right there, and he laughed at me. And I thought I was going to knock his head off his shoulders. What's even worse, he's no bigger than me, and he was much older than me. And I just thought, I could fucking take you, and if you beat me up, you beat me up, but I swear to God, I'm not going to stop. Like, I actually had that, well, I didn't have that thought, per se. I'm thinking about it now, but I mean, like, in that moment, I looked at him like he was crazy, because I thought he was. Because he was laughing at me when I said something about, I said, I don't take challenges very well. Really, I actually wasn't even talking to him. I was talking to a girl, but because we were discussing somebody that I had not met yet. And the other girl was preparing me for meeting this person. And I said, and she's got me under a certain impression that this person's going to be very difficult to deal with every time that we interact. And I said, well, I don't take challenges very well. So, I hope this isn't going to be too difficult. And before I could even finish the sentence, that guy was laughing at me. When he doesn't realize my dad created a little monster in the early 90s by knocking the shit out of me. Do you see what I mean? So they do that to us, and then when we grow up, they laugh at us for being like them. Because when women who grow up like that, they get older and they turn into what was the person who did it to them. They turn into that sometimes. And then you'll meet men who like to cuss everybody out and like to talk big and like to really swing it around. And you'll express having, the same abilities or the same qualities at least, or the same mindset as a smug son of a bitch who keeps bragging about, how tough they are. And then you say, well, goddamn it, don't even try me, because I might fucking meet you halfway for all you know, because I'm crazy. And then when they hear that, when dudes hear that, they'll laugh at you. I'm like, I don't think you understand. I don't think you get it. Because they don't. They don't. They beat their daughters, and then when they grow up, the daughter says, well, I fucking dare you, son of a bitch. Fucking do it. They create somebody who is not afraid, because they've created somebody who, out of sheer necessity for fucking survival, has had to put on this fucking medieval armor to make sure no one ever does that to her again. While simultaneously picking shitty ass boyfriends who do just that because she doesn't know any better. But aside from that, she dons the medieval armor, right? And so now she's a little badass. And she likes to fight. And she's always in defense mode. And she's always fucking ready. And God love you if you say the wrong thing. You know, there's a lot of women like that who are just ready to fucking fight. A lot of them. And people don't realize that. And like I say, when they cross paths with men who demonstrate those same qualities, you know, it's just like two little men challenge. You know, it's like a battle of the wills. They're just challenging each other, waiting for who's going to throw the first punch. But you got a lot of women who aren't afraid of that. Now, I haven't gotten in any formal fist fights with anybody. You know, I've somehow managed to avoid that. I don't know how. I guess I've got guardian angels looking out for me. I don't know, but I haven't, you know, it's been a long time since I've wrestled somebody. I say that, that's not really true, but anyway, that's another story for another time. But, I don't go out and fight men every day is what I'm trying to say, but, they don't understand what they create when they do that shit to us. They don't understand what they create. Because me and my dad had yelling matches. We had screaming matches. I want to say up until he died. We had screaming matches. I was at 15, the first time I realized that it had been a little while since he'd hit me. And I remember that moment. It just kind of stopped me in my tracks. Like, it's weird, you know. So that's how long it took. But when I was little, I've been talking for over an hour, and I still haven't gotten to the points about my own childhood where, you know, I really struggle. So I guess I'll touch on some of that. Okay, so my dad was not little. He wasn't little. And he'd come home angry, just pissed off, coming in the door pit. It got to a point where at least it changed our lifestyle at home, because I don't remember the last time we all sat down together at the table and had supper. I don't remember. I don't remember a lot of that at all. Because when we would sit at the table, my brother and I would leave the table in tears so often. This is my mother's words, not mine. But she said it so well, I just remembered it. But she said that me and Philip left the table in tears so often that she quit doing supper time with everybody, and we all ate at different times and in different places. A lot of times, you know, I could be seen eating in my room, or I would eat before Dad got in. And that way I wasn't stuck at the table. Because Mom could say, oh, well, they already ate, you know, and she would just feed him in front of the TV, and that would be it. And that's how it was early on. We didn't do, you know, the family sit down, you know, shit. We didn't do that. We couldn't. Because Dad would pick on me and Philip so bad about grades or anything we had done recently that pissed him off, or any mistake, anything. And me and Philip would just be crying and go into our room, you know, not finish the food, nothing. And that was getting so bad that Mom just said to hell with it. So we all ate separately. And just dumb shit like that, you know. But he would some nights he would just put his hands on me, and then like coming in from work, you know, it's always in the evenings, right? But sometimes he would it was just hands, and other times he would there'd be moments where he'd start getting pissed off about something, and I would think, oh shit, here we go. And I'd be looking at him, and he would be looking around the room real fast, looking for something to hit me with. And that happened a lot. And the fear that goes through you when you're watching somebody 4 times your size look for something to hit you with is scary. That's scary. That's scary. Period. Just is. There was one time, and I've probably told this story to some of y'all too, but I mean, this is such a good example. So there was one time that I was running like through the foyer. I was I had committed some grievous sin at like 9 or 10 years old. I had committed some unforgivable sin. And I was thinking to myself in those moments, okay, how far can my legs carry me, and how fast? Can I get to my room? Can I get behind a locked door? Can I? Because you're questioning your physical capabilities when they start swinging, because you don't know what you can do. You don't know what your strength is. You don't know what you're capable of, or if you can save yourself. You don't know any of those things. A 9-year-old girl doesn't know anyway. If I was a 17-year-old boy, it'd have been different, but I was just a little girl. And I was skinny too. I don't come from, some long line of farmers. There was nothing bulky or solid built about me. I was thin. And, so that was probably like, just hitting bones when he hit me. But, there was one particular night that I do remember where I guess running out of the dining room and into the foyer because I was going to turn left and go up the steps in front of the front door. Because you know how when you open the front door of some houses, the steps are right there. So I was going to go into the foyer, take that left, and go up the steps. And I was just going to try my best. And there was a bookshelf up against the wall in the foyer that just had a bunch of junk on it. And there was a big book on that shelf, and it was a phone book or a medical book or something huge like that. It was just like, and he grabbed that damn thing, and I saw him out of the corner of my eye grab that book, and I just thought, oh my fuck. Because I was little and I was skinny and just trying to move. And it was just a competition to see, who was going to catch up and who was going to get away and who was going to live. It's like, that's bizarre. That's a bizarre competition between you and your caretaker. Really fucking bizarre. But that was my reality, and that was quote unquote normal for me. Well, for me it was, but. And I felt that book. Hit my back. I'm laughing about it. Really, on the inside, I want to cry. I'm just not going to. But I felt that thing hit my back all the way across, and I just like, it sent a shockwave through me, because I guess my guess is that I think. Does the vagus nerve like rest against the inside spine, or is it like going through the core of your body through your organs? Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know. But it was almost like he had hit that damn nerve. And it was just a shock through my body. Like it hurt so bad all over. And I was like, couldn't catch my breath. I was crying so hard. And somehow I made it to my room. I don't know how, but I somehow made it to my room. And sometime, maybe the next day, I don't really know, but sometime shortly after that, at school, I told my best friend, and Aaron, if you ever see this video, just know I've never held it against you. I've never held it against, and I don't mean that in a um I'm not trying to sound like I'm some big person when I say that. That's not what I mean. I just mean this very matter of factly. I've never held it against you for this. If you ever see this. But she I told her what happened. I swore her to secrecy. She didn't keep a fucking secret. Not that one. She didn't. She sang like a canary. She ran her mouth to somebody. I don't know who. Probably some teacher I hated. But she told somebody. Someone. And word got out. So like the next day after telling her, we were in the classroom. And these two women I'd never seen before called me out of the room. They stood in the doorway and, is Miranda in here? You know, oh, fuck me. Yes. Oh, you know, it was Catholic school, so I was already always in trouble anyway. I was already always having fucking problems. You know, I mean, I had a problem with authority figures, obviously. So I didn't listen. And I didn't follow the rules. And I didn't, I especially had problems in religion class. We got to save that for some other time. That's a volume on its own. But anyway, so these two women I'd never seen before got me out of that classroom real quick. And they took me to a part of the school building I'd never seen before. And a classroom I didn't know was there. Just like everything that was happening was real new. And that scared me even more because there was so much shit happening and so much I was seeing that I hadn't seen before. I thought, oh my God, what the fuck's about to happen now? You know, because I was already miserable in general. Hated school. Definitely hated that school. Didn't hardly have any fucking friends. I got bullied and shit. I mean, we all did. I don't mean I'm special in that way. We all got some shit. But, you know, I wasn't a happy kid. I was not a happy kid. And here I was with strangers who were like, well, come on with us, Miranda, Jesus Christ. And, you know, let's go. And I just thought, fuck me. What now? You know, to the gallows. Put it around my neck. You know, like, let's just get it over with. You're finally going to kill me off. You finally had enough of me. Well, we get in this classroom. They lock the door. I just thought, Christ, what's happening? And they told me to take my uniform off, and I did. And took the shirt and took the stupid white blouse off. And they pushed my hair out of the way so they could see my back. And I was like 9 or 10. And I couldn't see my back. I'd never looked at it. But they said, they didn't say much. They were quiet, which I also didn't like. But they said, yep, 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 yes, yes, yep, there's, yep. I just thought, what the fuck? And then it hit me. They were looking at the bruises. And I just thought, I'm going to get killed. I'm just going to get, my motherfucking ass is getting killed. My little smug ass is going to get executed tonight. And I just thought, shit, I'm so fucked. I couldn't think of a word bad enough. I just couldn't. To this day, I can't think of a word bad enough for how bad I felt in that moment. Because I knew I was screwed royally. And because I knew I was going to pay for it, for running my mouth. And they're like, all right, put your clothes back on. So I did. And I went back to class. And I didn't hear anything else from the school. Ever. No one at the school ever said anything or did anything with me after that. When I got home, When I got home, I got my ass towed up. Towed up. And I got the shit knocked out of me for that. And I didn't ever talk about the domestic violence in the home ever again with anybody. I never mentioned it after that. Because I paid for it. So all those years, I had to keep my little rat mouth shut. Because God forbid I speak up and say I was getting the hell knocked out of me. Because I paid the price the one time I did. The one time I did. And Aaron, if you ever see this video, I forgive you for telling the teachers that I got hit at home. Because you were trying to protect me. I'll never be angry at you for running your mouth and trying to protect me. I'll never hold that against you. I never have. But that girl, she was my best friend and she was trying to help me. She broke her promise to me in order to help me. And all I did was get my ass beat again for talking about getting my ass beat. So let's see, a long time ago when that kind of thing would happen, that was supposed to be a lesson well learned, you know. But those generations who grew up like that were not in touch with themselves at all, and not in touch with their emotions at all, and were very separated from themselves. And those are the people, and those are the generations who will say, well, you need to toughen up, you need to man up, and you need to get over it and quit feeling sorry for yourself. That phrase, that quit feeling sorry for yourself, that makes me want to strangle people because I can't stand to hear it. I think some people actually should feel a little bit, should be allowed to feel a little bit sorry for themselves every now and then. I don't see the grievous sin in that. I don't. If they feel a little bit sorry for themselves and they meditate on something for a little bit and then so what? So what? So I've never, those generations that say that, when quit feeling sorry for yourself and you need to man up and get to work and, whatever the fuck. I don't agree with that mentality at all. I think it's bullshit and it's fake and it's disconnected and it's stupid and it's not helpful. Because then their kids and grandkids are screwed up and are trying to figure things out, and they can't go to the elders in their family because the elders in their family are just saying, well, you need to snap out of it and grow up, and you need to mature, and you need to toughen up. You need to toughen up. You need to toughen up. I'm sick of having to toughen up. I'm a single parent as it is. I'm already as tough as I could possibly be. I've had to do everything on my own and be the man I need and be everything I need on my own. I'm tired of having to be tough. Sick of that shit. So, those older generations, they are not helpful with that shit at all. Can't wait for them to fucking, because they're not helpful. Maybe some of them are. You'll have every now and then you'll have an old person that talks to you like a human being, but so many of them are just totally disconnected. But anyway, so what's awkward is in between the beatings, Dad and I had we had small windows of time here and there. I mean, like small windows of time here and there when he would actually just talk to me like a human being. Not all the time. It was just every once in a while he'd talk to me like a human being. And I treasured those moments because they were so frequent. It's so infrequent. And I took them, and just tried to soak them in because it was just every now and then. And when he died in 2011, we weren't fighting or anything like that. We had the relationship was as good as it could have been. It was positive, but most stuff was superficial, we hadn't like cleared anything up from years before or anything like that. There wasn't any of that, but we were still doing good. We were, for the way things had been, we were doing pretty good. So, when he died, I just forgave him all that. I still carry some of the pain in my fibers, but I forgave him all that. Because I don't want to stay mad. I don't want to do that. And the forgiveness like almost came automatically. I didn't even have to think about it. It's just like I didn't hold anything against him. After that, once, and him dying was a real shock to us too. He was 51 and he wasn't sick, and he just went to sleep on the sofa one night and looking the way he always did when he went to sleep on the sofa. And we found him the next morning just laying there like he always did. And that was a real fucking shock. And so, but I was, the police sent the priest over or whatever. And he and I sat at the kitchen table, and he was talking to me, and I wasn't like running around in circles boo-hooing and shit like that. The women in my family don't do that. We don't lose it. We don't lose our cool. In bad situations like that, it's just we don't do it. And Mom told me later that the police weren't sure about that, and they didn't like that we weren't real, like torn apart and upset and screaming and running around outside and shit like that. We weren't doing that. And Mom actually told me later on that the police almost suspected my mother of being up to no good because she wasn't upset. And I just thought, the police don't know anything about Hyde women. If that's HYDE, that's my mother's family's name. I said they don't really know anything about us because we don't come from a part of society where you do that. We come from a group where you act right no matter how bad it gets. And that's just what we do, and that's just what we're used to, and it's shitty, and I disagree with it, but that's just how it is. And we did that when Dad died that day. We weren't running around like maniacs. We were very calm about everything and just kind of like took it for what, took it as best we could, and just kept our heads screwed on right, and did everything that was required of us, and that was it. And we boo-hooed later separately in our rooms. A year later, whatever. So the police might be used to something different. I guess just regular middle class people that actually express their emotions. I don't really know. I mean, you'll have to ask them. I don't know. But the family I come from, you don't do that. So me and this priest were sitting at the table, and he said, and poor dad was like laying on the sofa. No, they hadn't even come to take him away or anything yet. And the priest was like, I was like 24, so 23. I was 23. And the priest says, you're taking this really well. So I don't know if like maybe he was feeling that same way that the police were feeling, or if he was just trying to figure me out. But him being a priest, he's used to people coming to him upset and shit like that. And the fact that I wasn't doing that, I guess just confused him. I don't really know. But when he told me that, I didn't really know what to say, and I just kind of like shrugged and said, "Oh, well, I didn't know what to say." Because I was brought up to do that, and to me it wasn't weird. Because I was handling it the only way I knew how, which was calm, cool, collected. So for me, I wasn't weird. He might have thought so, but to hell with that. So, but anyway, there's a lot of, I don't like it when people will have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever, and somebody says, so what kind of relationship do y'all have? Are y'all like dating, or like, what is it? What are you doing? And one of them will say, well, it's complicated. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't think they know what they're talking about. Because to me, that's a joke. No offense. But that's a fucking joke. Complicated is the relationship my father and I had. That was complicated. Because in between the getting the shit beat out of me, he would give me, just every now and then, would deal me one little gold nugget of wisdom. Every now and then, he'd teach me something real important about life, or teach me something that would like make me think later, just every once in a while. And then most of the time besides that, he was just telling me what to do. Go do this, go do that, go do this. God damn it, get to work. It was always something. Go. And that was all the time. He was an Air Force officer, so he was used to pulling that shit at work, but he would come home and pull the same shit on us. And we would just we'd have to run around like little worker bees, just looking busy. And we couldn't just sit in front of the TV or just, sit in the floor with the dog and play. It was, fucking find something to do. Jesus Christ, go clean something. Go fucking do something. Why? But that's just how it was. And that was most of the time, was the do something. Find something to fucking do. Make yourself useful. And then that would be punctuated with, getting hit so hard in the back I couldn't breathe. So that is a complicated relationship. That is. I'm offended almost when somebody says, well, it's complicated, and they just can't decide if they want to screw or not. Just some person. That's not complicated. You're just stupid and you don't know yourself. That shit was complicated. I don't know. I'm getting opinionated. I can't help it. Just don't like it when people act like something's, confusing. It's not confusing. You just don't know what you're doing. But anyway, it's been almost 2 hours. It took a lot. This took a lot of build up. This took a lot of build up for me. But I've gone over the important parts, and I've gone over the personal parts. And I don't feel better quite yet, but I think I will after I publish it and actually hit share or whatever. I'm also going to see if I can download it and put it on my YouTube as well. This video. So I'm probably going to leave it at that because I am almost at 2 hours. But for anyone who stuck with me through any part of this video, I know it was long. I know I talked a lot. Thank you for listening to any part that you listened to. I mean, this took a lot. I had to go over a lot. I had to go over a lot of psychology and a lot of examples and shit like that. And, a lot of experiences and stuff like that. So for anyone who stuck with me through the video at any part, thank you. Thank you for listening to me and hearing me and, paying attention, I guess. I hope that, anything I might have said brought you some clarity or helped you understand something about yourself or somebody else. Because I really put a lot into this. I don't script any of my shit. I really do. I never do. I never script my shit. That's about to change later today, though, because once I've finished this and upload it, I'm going to start work on my my online Reiki course I'm going to release for y'all. And it's open to everybody, not just people in my group or whatever. It's once it's out, it's out. Any of my online courses and my pre-recorded shit, it's open for whoever wants it. So, but anyway, I'm going to start on my Reiki course today, and I think today is the perfect day for it because I feel like now that I'm getting to the end of this video, I'm starting to feel calm. Maybe lighter. But I feel like I cleared a little bit out. And this would be a good time to focus on something positive. So today would be a good day for me to start working on the Reiki course for everybody. So I think I'm going to do that right after I upload this. Because I'm starting to feel kind of good. Calm. Feel calm. And I'll take calm anytime. You know what I mean? So I'm feeling good. I feel good about everything I've said. I spoke from the heart. So, thank you for listening. Because it took a lot for me to say that. Because I don't talk about this shit a lot, for real. I don't talk about it a lot. I've almost never talked about it. I know I'm not done crying about this. It's just I need to end this video because it's long. I'm okay. I'm just working it out. I'm just working it out of my fiber. It's got to come out of my fibers at some point. It's just got to. So this is my nervous system trying desperately to regulate that. So, and the laughter is me trying to deal with it. But anyway, I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna catch my breath after this. Probably get some ice cream, calm down. Maybe do a little bit of yoga, get my mind right, and then start my fucking Reiki course. But anyway, I'm glad for anyone who watched this video. And, if you got anything from it, I'm glad. And thank you for just sticking with me. And thank you for hearing me out and just listening and just being good listeners. Y'all are such good listeners, for real. And I just want to say thank you for just, supporting me and staying and sticking it out with me and staying with me all this time and just being there. you know, because y'all are really kind people, and I really appreciate that, and I need that, and I'm grateful for that, really. So thank you for watching this and watching me express myself, because I know how interesting that is. But anyway, I'm all right. I'm gonna be okay. Just gotta let it happen, I guess. I can't fight it anymore. I can't hide it anymore. You know what I mean? I can't hide from it anymore. So I'm all right though. I'm getting better. Things are getting better every step of the way. It gets a little bit better. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Thanks for sticking by me, and I appreciate every single one of y'all. I really do. And I hope that this helps. And of course, finally, you know, if you ever want to talk about something or do one of my programs with me, my one-on-one things or whatever, if you just need somebody to talk to, y'all know where to find me. So, you know, just please message me and we'll figure some things out. Or if you just want to be heard, whatever, if you just need a space, I'm there. I'm always there. So, thank you.